What's going on, everybody? This video is going to be a little different than what we've been doing, which is the Boston Marathon training series for 2023. This is going to be a little flashback, and I thought it'd be cool to go backwards, looking at some of the races I've done, the training runs, some of the challenges, just a lot of memorable things with many lessons learned for sure. So today we're going back to where it all kind of really started, which is the 2019 Austin Marathon. And I guess the story starts in Colorado in August of 2018, where I did my first marathon, the Aspen Backcountry Marathon. Had no clue it was a trail marathon, right? And more on that to come in future flashback episodes. But it wasn't really like I wasn't really racing, right? I get to the race, find out it's a trail marathon, and I'm like, all right, let's. I don't really know what that is, but let's finish this thing, and that's what I did. It took me 5 hours, and I kind of got the bug from there. That usually happens, right? Like you have this experience. It's a big accomplishment it was for me personally, and I'm like, all right, I want a little bit more. So next step is to get in a real marathon, a road race, and see how fast I can do it. And moved to Austin in a few weeks later in August of 2018, and looked up marathons, and the Austin Marathon popped up. Pretty big race. It's about 2,500 people, I think, at the marathon. It was in February of 2019. So, September, October, November, December, January, I had about 5 months, give or take, to train. So I kind of got to work, started to run a little bit, looked up a plan. That's a big question I get a ton, is like, can you write me a plan? How do I get a plan? What do I do? Yeah, I'm literally going to show you right here. Went to Google, typed in sub 3 hour marathon training plan, 16 weeks. And, at that, my goal was to run a under 3 hour marathon. First link that popped up was for Runner's World. It was like the ultimate guide to sub 3 hour marathon, 16-week plan, something like that. Clicked on it and rolled with it. I got lucky, I guess, a little bit, because that was a great plan. But literally simple as that, man. I luckily focused on what made the most difference. I've said this in a previous episode. I ran, before I even got a plan, before I even had running shoes, I mentioned this earlier, size 9.5 Nikes I was wearing. They're literally like lifestyle running, look like running shoes, bullshit shoes. And that's what I ran in for the first year. That's this time frame. But I ran a lot. And I just started running. Went out for a 5 mile run, then tried, 7 mile run, and so on and so forth, and tagged, combined some solid runs. So 16 weeks out from the marathon, that was in September sometime, I think maybe early October, I start this plan. And, that's kind of another lesson here, right? This is all about lessons learned and hopefully learning from me instead of learning the hard way like I did. I jumped into this training plan not prepared at all. You're supposed to be, they even have a little warning order on there, running 35-ish miles a week. And that should be a combination of easy runs, longer runs, and harder effort runs like tempo runs or track workouts, whatever. And I was doing none of that shit. I was like so green. I was just like, okay, well, I ran 30 miles this week, so I think I'm ready. And the result was, after 3-4 weeks of trying to stick to that plan, trying to hit the paces, not having any idea what an easy run feels like or looks like, I think I got hurt. I really don't remember. But kind of freeballed the plan from then on. So 3-4 weeks in, kind of scrapped the plan that I had done, and I just kind of rolled with it, like ran 4 or 5 times a week, was running hard, doing my best, and it worked out okay, right? So one thing I did do leading up to the marathon was run the entire marathon course beforehand with my buddy Joey P. Shout out Joey P, which, again, horrible idea. Do not recommend at all. It was great mentally, I think, to know what the course looked like and to know that I could do it, right? But I mean, I probably took a week off after that, and that was like 4 weeks before the race. So you're taking a week off 3 weeks leading up to this marathon. Never a good idea. I remember having to walk upstairs, the next day to my apartment. Could hardly walk up these stairs. My knees hurt so much, and just a poor idea. All right, so don't run the race course, 4 weeks before. Now, here's another mistake. This plan is riddled with mistakes here. Leading up to the race, the Sunday before. So we're now T-minus 7 days to the race. I played in an intramural basketball game, and took a few hard falls. I remember taking like a knee like right to my quad, my left side, which never feels good. That's usually like a deep bruise if you've ever had that. And then I fell on the ground really hard on like my hip, like my glute and my hip, and like not sure what was going on. I remember waking up for work the next morning at like 5 a.m. and could not like hardly walk. I mean, I remember tearing up walking because I was hurting, yes, but also like so angry, right? Because you put in all this time and effort to train for this race, and you're blowing it like taking a charge in some bullshit intramural game, right? And so, another lesson there, just a small little one, is like shit hurts way more in the morning, and you're gonna wake up stiff and sore and hurting, and by noon it doesn't feel so bad. So like, yeah, it was hurting a ton. I was having trouble walking. Not that it got any better by noon, but it was improving slightly, right? So luckily I had access to a world-class training staff. Shout out Leif. And he really helped me out in that week. I think he understood how much time and energy I invested. And he was really invested in me, in helping me get to the start line as healthy as I could be. So I had some like dry needling going on. I had like massage, was in the Normatec boots, was in the cold plunge, doing a ton of stuff for like recovery to try to get better. I don't think I was 100%. I hardly ran that entire week leading up to the race. Don't recommend that either. And, I remember getting to so we'll get to the start line in a sec. Let's talk night before here real quick. So, the night before the race, first of all, no carb load to speak of. In races since my 2020 Austin Marathon, my 2022 Boston Marathon, carb loaded for give or take 72 hours, so like 3 days leading up to the race, talking like 5, 6, 700 grams of carbs, 80-90% of my calories carbs. And it makes a big difference. It really, really helps, and I highly recommend doing that. I didn't for this race. So my carb load looked like I had a teriyaki bowl from True Food with my sister Lindsay the night before the race. Probably don't recommend that either. Had all the vegetables and everything in there. And if that works for your stomach, great, I guess. I think that was okay. But, also got back to my apartment. I was like, man, carbs are good, right? The night before the race. And I whipped up 3 Kodiak cakes at like 9:30, 10 p.m. the night before I'm running a marathon. And like idiotic. I look back on this, I'm like, what are you doing, man? First of all, Kodiak cakes, not all carbs. They have whey protein in there. They have tons of ingredients in it. I don't really even know what's in that shit. But 10 p.m. the night before the race, too, bad idea. You're about to see how bad it was in a sec. So that's my night before the race. Didn't sleep great. Woke up early, maybe 4:30 in the morning. I had those like pre-made oatmeal packets, like the brown sugar cinnamon. I think I had like 2 or 3 of those, which great pre-race meal, I think. Like, tastes good, goes down easy, some long-lasting carbs in there with that oatmeal. Recommend that. I thought that was great. That's one of my shining moments, I guess, from this race. And, got warmed up. I remember I spent some time on the Versa Climber and rolled out and stuff, and then headed to the start line. And the race was about to begin. So, shoot. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking of earlier is my hip was still kind of like not right. I would say like 80-85%. I don't want to like sandbag this by any means. And, that like when I started running, I didn't feel it at all. But I remember taking like 3, 4 or 5, something like that, like Tylenols or Advil or something. And I never take that shit. Like, I mean, ever. Like you ask the folks around me, they like almost have to shove it down my throat sometimes. And I took a bunch the morning before the race, and I think that led to some of the issues in race as well, which I'm about to get to here. So let's flash to the start line here. It's a super cool race. It's very hilly, but very well run too. So they have pace groups from starting at 3 hours, and I think every 5 minutes back to like 4 hours 30 minutes or something, right? So I'm at the front of the corral. I'm with the 3 hour pace group. And what that means, like the pace group is like a guy holding like a sign that says 3 hours on it, and he runs the whole race. And they're basically like a moving finish line. So if you run with that pace group and then you kind of break ahead of them towards the end, you know, like you're breaking 3 hours in the race. That's their job. So I'm like, my plan, this is literally all I planned, you know, which is ridiculous, is like I'm going to stick with this 3 hour pace group. So the gun goes, and you know I'm competitive and all that, and I just start running, and I'm like, these guys are running too slow for me, and fucking dumbass thinking it. So by like mile 6, I kept looking back, seeing how far ahead of the pace group I was. By like mile 6, I couldn't even see them. Bad idea. So I'm rolling. Cranked out like a 128 or 127 first half marathon, which I'd never run a half marathon before. I mean, like that's a good time, and well ahead of my pace too. So I was somewhere in like the high 630s, to like 640 pace range through 13 miles, right? And that's kind of where it started getting real, because in Austin, you're running, you get to like the 12 mile mark. First of all, there's a big hill, and then all the half marathon people, they go like to the right downtown, and all the marathon people go to the left, and then like it gets real quiet. You make a left and you start going north, up Guadalupe Street, I think, and it's just like, I remember there being nobody, like no people watching. There was like 5 runners. Like I could see like 2 or 3 guys in front of me. I mean, it was crazy, right? And that's where like your mind starts really going crazy. And that's kind of where I started to really reflect, like, shit, like I don't think I can do this the whole time, like I'll pump myself with positivity all day long, but like it was just like deep in my bones. I was like, I'm in total like survival mode now, and that's a result of just going out way too fast. And I've learned from more successful races, like that's not how you want to feel halfway through. One cool bit I'll never forget this is there was like nobody on the course, right? But I look to my left and I see this neon green sign from this one girl just sitting there, and it said WWGD. What would Goggins do? And like it's so crazy. Like Goggins is my dude. Huge inspiration for me, and really like inspired me to begin doing this and take on this journey in the first place. And like it's crazy how you see that, and it like will flip your mindset a little bit and kind of get you back in the right frame of mind, where you're like, yeah, I fucking got this. Like I'm the fucking, let's go, and it fueled me truly for a while. But like that shit won't fuel you for 13.1 more miles. I'll tell you that. Like it just won't. But it was great. So I see that, I roll down, catch up with my boy Willie. Shout out Willie. He ran with me for a little bit, starting at like mile 17. And this is kind of where like shit started going like real south, right? I have this vivid memory of like stomach issues arising, which is like, for me at least, maybe I have a particular sensitivity to it, but like the kiss of death, man. If you start having stomach issues, and what I mean by stomach issues is like you got to shit, you're in trouble. Especially like mile 17, you have 9 miles to go. Like, I mean, you're running at a good clip. That's like 70 minutes. So like, and exercise like makes you have to go worse, right? So like, imagine just sitting somewhere and having to like hold in like a violent poop for like 70 minutes. It's not happening, right? So we're running, we hang a left, and we're going underneath like I-35, the underpass. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. Like there's a mariachi band playing on the sidewalk, and I tried to fart, and I just shit. Like not a ton, but I pooped in my pants. And I was just like, oh no, like that's I mean, I don't know what's worse than that. So I told Willie that. I was like, I just pooped my pants a little bit. And he's laughing, and we're kind of like making jokes of it, but I'm still like, dude, hasn't solved my problem. Like, I still got to go to the bathroom. And so Willie ducks out. I see Dave Ford, my buddy, came out, said what's up, and Joey P and my sister were all there. You know, it was awesome to see them, and then it was kind of like the lonely stretch, you know, and like the stomach issues were just getting like worse and worse and worse. Like, it's just like it's mounting, right? And I made a conscious decision. This was like what I knew I was fucking for real. Is I'm like, I'm just gonna shit in my pants. And I'm gonna keep running. I'm running such a great race. I was at like a 6:40 pace. This is like mile 20 at this point. And so I did. I just took a little shit in my pants, and like I have poop in my pants now. And I'm like, fuck. And it doesn't, like, there was just more, you know, and it got to the point where I was like, like my stomach was so jacked up, this can't go in my pants. Like, I'm going to be that dude that's like on, you know, NBC, like they're showing clips of the marathon, and they spot to me with like brown shit just flying off of my shorts and like down my leg. Like, I'm not doing that, right? So, you know, now it's like, okay, next best action here. I need to find a bathroom, or not even a bathroom. I was just looking for a spot of land that I could go to, the like squat and go to the bathroom as quick as possible. And there's just like, what's tough is there's like people lining the streets, right? And there's just like runners running. And so what do you do? You know, like you can't like go bridesmaids like in the middle of the street, like, you know. So thank God, like by some miracle, there's just like a construction, something under construction to the right of me. This is like mile 22. And there's a porta potty like on the sidewalk, and I run up to it, and I am like about to explode, and it's open, thank God. And I get in there, and it was just like, you know, I hear this described a lot from like ultra runners. Like I've heard David Goggins talk about it, where your mind like thinks you're done with whatever you're doing. Like your mind can hold off for a long time. Your body will compensate in crazy ways, where I didn't feel horrible. Like I had tremendous pain, but I was like, I can keep running. The second I stopped in that porta potty, first of all, bowels just ejected. All right? Disgusting. But like somebody put a drill in my head, the most shooting pain in my head. My knees felt like somebody took a bat to them. Like all of this at once. My ankles, my hips. I mean, it was insane. I remember getting so dizzy that I like stumbled and hit the wall of the porta potty, and I'm like trying to brace myself. I'm like, it was insane. And you know, what's going through my head is like, I still got 4.2 miles to fucking run. And I like, what do you do? Like, I mean, worst case scenario, right? So I get out of the porta potty, I collect myself. I was probably only in there 30 seconds. It, you know, felt like hours. And I had to like regroup and try to finish this thing off. And, you know, my goal was super in sight. I mean, 4 miles to go. I clipped those 22 miles at like a 6:40 pace. So like if I'm rolling in at like 8 minute per mile pace, I'm under 3 hours, Boston Marathon qualifier. And it took everything in me to like walk and jog. I remember getting to the home stretch. There was like half a mile to go. My buddy Joey P, who's been like helping me all day, like the most amazing crew chief, is like, come on, man, let's go. You got this, you got this. And I just like, I'm trying to run. There's people on the side. Come on, let's go. You know, you have your name on your bib. Come on, Nick. And I'm like, I can't keep running. And I've done thousands of runs on my, you know, not a person in fucking sight. And I'm sprinting to finish, right? And I can't even muster a jog. I am like, my body is like, no, we're fucking done. And it was insane. I mean, some of the most humbling moments of my life. I mean, I was able to finish. I finished in 3:04 and some change. I thought when I crossed the finish line that I qualified for the Boston Marathon because the year prior they changed the qualifying time for my age bracket from 3:05 to 3 flat hours. And I thought it was still 3:05. So I was like, I didn't get sub 3, but I qualified for the Boston Marathon. Later found out that wasn't the case. But that's the race in a nutshell. I mean, I remember sitting on the sidewalk after. I could hardly move, man. I saw somebody from the basketball team I worked with. They were volunteering in the corral afterwards, and they were like, "Yo, you look fucked up, man. Like, are you okay?" And I was like, "I just give me some water and I need to sit down." And I was having trouble moving. I mean, it was like the real deal. Some of the worst pain I've been in my life. And I remember sitting there, and one thing I forgot is like, I mean, I shit my pants at mile 20, right? So my sister, she just goes, "Hey, I know you're having trouble moving and everything, but like, I can smell you, man. Like, could we, could we go?" So we ditched I had 3/4 tights on underneath my shorts. We ditched those in an alley, and we rolled back, took a shower, everything. I was so jacked up, man. My stomach was messed up. I was in the bathroom every 10 minutes for hours and hours and hours. And that was race day, man. It's funny how you do something like that, and for the hours afterwards, you're like, fuck no, I'm never ever doing that shit ever again in my life. That was the worst thing I've ever done. And a few days go by, a few weeks go by maybe, and you get the email, sign up 2020 Austin Marathon, and you kind of get the bug. I think that's a good sign if you're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going back there and I'm gonna fuck it up. And guess what I did? I at 3:04 2019, 2:52 in 2020. So I got my revenge. We'll talk about that in another ep, but that was the 2019 Austin Marathon for me. Hope you learned from some of my many mistakes, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.